I had a few requests to record because people got held up, but welcome to another fantastic virtual happy hour of the Florida Rum Society. Happy to see everyone. It's been a little bit of a while for us, which is strange, but you know, we got things. There's been plenty of rum things happening, just not all together. I was thinking about as I welcome our special guest Kaye from Holmes Cay. I was thinking about that you now are tied, and Maura as well. Apologies, Maura. You're supposed to be sitting next to him, so I can talk to both of you at once. I was thinking that you now are tied with Ed Hamilton for most frequented visitor of the Florida Rum Society virtual happy hour. So there's something to be said for that. I'm just saying.
3?
This is 3.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And technically Ed showed up at Jeff Barry's, so I don't know. Like there might be a technicality there.
Nah, give it to him.
Well, this is the first time that we've actually ended Rum of the Month with the call, which I think is fun. We had a whole month worth of excitement. Some new releases came out of Florida Rum Society barrel of Belize, and lots of fantastic things. So I'm thrilled that we were able to do everything. We threw Turkey Day in there, as well as lots of other things. Half of us, I think, went to Barbados, it seems. I was not that fortunate, but others were. And yeah, so we have a packed agenda, it seems. So I'm going to throw it over to Eric, and we can start talking about some of the newer rums, and then get into the other stuff as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to be tasting too, for the people that were lucky enough to get those tasting kits, with the Fiji and the Belize barrel pick. This was a great, couple of months for Florida Rum Society. We had the Australia, which we talked about 2 months ago. Was it 2 months?
Yeah, really like October, but yeah, we'll say 2 months because it's the end.
Yeah, and that those of you who don't know Maura, that is my co-founder, partner, and also wife. So it's the original mom and pop rum company here. Literally. She's completely the brains behind the operation. But let me share. It's been an exciting year. Pandemic be damned. We grew quicker than we thought we would. We're in 10 states now. We're about to add a couple of more states early next year. And people seem to want to like real rum, which has really been nice. And we're starting to see other independent bottlers hit the market, which, we knew would happen, which is, to me, a good thing. The more people bringing great rums and more available, I think, we're in the golden age of rum right now, it seems.
It's all the people that are sitting there saying, wow, I wish I had that idea that Eric did. And that are like, maybe I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I think it's great. And rum has not yet hit the level of popularity where there's people camped outside to try and grab the new allocation of Pappies or something. For the most part, it's generally accessible to anything that comes out, which is amazing with some of these rums that are coming out from all over the world, like the Travelers Distillery release, which they put out this month.
Well, I like, and I know we covered it a little bit on the Binley call, the Australia call, right? But we're able to now, because of you and others, there's others now, but experience these spirits that we would have never had the chance to get our hands on, right? Have a taste of, because of people working hard like yourself to bring them to us, whether it's from the distillery themselves or like Travelers, right? Or through Maine, which, right, our friends at Binley, Steve was like, it's easier to get it from there than get it directly from me, so do it that way. And it worked out great for everyone.
And same with Richard Seal at Foursquare, who's one of the biggest fans of independent bottlers, and the way he makes it possible is to just say, you all have my blessing, just deal with Maine rum. I don't have the bandwidth to deal with 30 or 40 different people wanting to release a barrel. I'm just going to send them to there, and if you want them, that's where they are. Um, so they serve an invaluable role, Maine rum.
100%.
And one of those, which I guess we should start drinking, is the
Ah,
Fiji. Those of you that have it, the return of our original 2004 Fiji was so well received that we managed to get another 4 barrels of it. There you go. Now a year later.
how many did you start with, Eric?
We originally, this was the second rum we released. We started originally 2 years ago with the Barbados 2005 Foursquare rums. And then when we sold out those 2 barrels, we thought, hey, let's try more. So I didn't know if there would be as strong of a pull for other rums because we knew everybody loved Foursquare. And the next 2, we tried a single barrel of Port Moran and a single barrel of Fiji. And they both sold out in like a month. And I'm like, well, I guess there's more people that just like rum. It doesn't have to be the cult of Foursquare, which is absolutely amazing, but it's just one of many amazing rums. So we were able to get a second barrel of Fiji shortly after that, which again sold out. And then COVID hit and transportation issues hit, and it took a good 8 or 9 months to get more of it. And in the meantime, South Pacific Distilleries made it a lot harder for anybody else to get their rum. They have an exclusive partnership with Plantation right now, which is, great for both of those companies. But for the rest of us, it makes it hard to get Fiji. But thankfully, we got these 4 barrels and we just bottled them this past month. So please, those of you that have it, I'm going to share a screen a little bit. And this first photo, not that one, is the distillery, which is courtesy of Constantine, who is on this Zoom, I believe. You there, Constantine?
Yeah, hey, I'm here, Eric.
Thank you very much for supplying me with amazing photos of the South Pacific Distillery, which I have not been to yet. Thankfully, you live nearby. And it really is one of my favorite distilleries. I did not know this until I saw the photos from Constantine, but they actually have 2 double retort pot stills as well as a column still. I would guess that this rum is from pot still 1. I don't know if you would know how old pot still 2 is, Constantine.
Yeah, so this is from pot still 1 probably.
That's the picture I
That's the one you got up there. Yeah.
So it's they're all open like that. This one was 12 years there before it made its way across the Pacific and the Atlantic, and ended up in Liverpool for 5 years. So 58%. We did 4 barrels this 17 year. The tasting notes, again, I will admit that tasting notes I have trouble with because they're so subjective. I could taste mango and pepper, and you could taste honey and tobacco, and we could both be right. So I view tasting notes as more of a rough guide than anything to really take to heart. But they're kind of useful because people expect them. And the first batch from last year, the press really seemed to like, which was surprising because Fiji rum didn't have much of a reputation when we put it out. But Wine Enthusiast gave it a 95, and Rob Report said it was one of the number 9 in the 21 best rums of the 21st century. And they really just make an amazing rum. And they have their own style. I'm not quite sure how and why particularly, but Fiji rum, with its one distillery and a history of rum making going back to 1980, really have developed a great, unique, distinct style with their multitude of stills and knowledge, being owned by the Coca-Cola bottling, company of Fiji. So great rums come from many places. anything anybody would like to add about this rum?
Did anyone get their hands on the first bottling of this group? So the first time around with the
16-year.
Yeah, the 16-year.
Travis has one.
I have it.
Some travelers got it. It's fantastic. I want to do a side by side with this and that one because they're the same rum, right? Just
It is the
this
exact
still in
same
barrel.
rum, just a year older. And I may or may not, we may or may not have an 18-year coming in a year. So we're
I
waiting to
actually
hear
bought
on
them
that.
side by side, but I'm eating spicy soup, so I'm waiting for a while.
But yeah, I mean, one extra year in the UK is not going to make a tremendous amount of difference between 16 and 17 years. I think between 2 and 3 years, it's a much bigger difference. And these casks aren't, they're not heavily charred. They're not going to part a whole lot more after 16 years than it will 17. And my one concern was that it might get a little oakier, and it hasn't.
No, I don't think it's over oaky at all.
No, and because these were not fresh casks, I'm pretty sure these were put into recycled rum casks in the UK, which
So
also
they
gives you.
When they sent it from Fiji to the UK, it changed barrels.
Yeah, that's usually what they do and how they do it. So for example, Richard Seal will ship a container of rum over and then they'll rebarrel it in the UK. Just makes a lot easier.
Got it.
When they do that, Eric, do they usually use recycled rum barrels for that bottling or for that barreling? Do you know?
It depends. Half the time it's recycled rum, half the time it's ex-bourbon. Other times they'll experiment with different casks, sherry casks, sauterne casks.
Sure.
They have all this. I saw an enormous Oloroso sherry cask filled with Port Moran when I was in Liverpool last month. It's really cool. Did not get a chance to taste it.
We'll have to circle back to your visit to Liverpool.
Yeah,
because
that's a whole other.
We were chatting a little, and I had big jealous of the stuff that you were pulling out.
So that's Fiji there for you.
I think it's right. It has, for me, it has a little bit like there's this underlying. I hate to we overuse the word funk, but it has Jamaican. Like I can pick up some Jamaican qualities to it, but then I also get a little like almost like Karen-y type qualities. Not like the pitch in the face tar and leather that they have, but some of those lighter notes that you find, at least for me.
You can definitely tell it's pot stilled.
What are you gonna say, DJ?
You can definitely tell it's pot stilled.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Travis, are you trying the new one or the old one? The 16 or the 17?
I only have the old one right now. I don't have the new one in my hands.
Ah.
I bought it, but I haven't shipped it yet.
I see.
So we just did a side by side back and forth with the 16 and the 17. They're very, very close. I think maybe the original one might be a little like fruitier, just like itty bit fruitier, like the tiniest bit. What do you think?
Yeah, you can definitely. The newer one tastes just a little drier, not quite as sweet.
I would agree on that one. Yeah, I mean, you could tell it's the same mark for sure and same year, but it's like the distant difference between those two Destinos that were bottled 6 months apart. There's a little slight more barrel influence, but
They're close enough that somebody who doesn't know any better wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But yeah, we're used to tasting things, so we can find the little intricacies.
Hey, Eric, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask this, and I'm not sure if you're allowed to answer. So either way, it's okay. I apologize.
I'm the one who decides.
Oh, Maura, I should ask you, Maura. Thank you for reminding me who's in charge. I did know, and I should have remembered. So this rum, when it was made back in 2004, if it hadn't ended up in Liverpool, right? Like the other rum that was with this mark at the time of this distillation, what brand of bottles would it have ended up in? What was it originally destined for?
That's a great question, and you can ask that, and I'm happy to answer that. I have no idea whatsoever. Maybe they had plans for it and the plans changed. They don't have anything 12. I mean, I don't even know if they've released any 12-year-old rums. But for whatever reason, it didn't fit in any plans.
Okay.
Which is probably why it made its way to Maine rum.
Okay. Do you know, have they continued sending rum to Maine? Or was it just a happy accident?
They were up until last year, and now
Okay.
they're no longer sending rum to Sheer or Maine.
And I can add a little to that.
Yes, please.
It's very, very common for Sheer to buy a wide variety of rums because they all have different flavor profiles and some craft custom blends. And what they told me when I was at Maine Rum a few years ago is that they sometimes, there are many ways you might end up in a cask in Maine Rum, but one of them could be that Sheer in Amsterdam simply doesn't have enough of it left to do anything meaningful with, but it could certainly still be a few more cask. And so it's easy enough to just ship it off to Liverpool and have them put it in cask for hoping that somebody will buy it later. So it's like a good deal with scraps, if you will. So
yeah, that's a great answer.
Good scraps.
Yeah.
Great scraps.
We have a bottle that we picked up in Fiji in 2018. It's the Ratu brand.
Oh, yep.
So it says 8-year, but on the label it says 5 to 10. So I don't know, maybe they were thinking this, but like an older release. This was the oldest they had in the area of Fiji where we were.
Right. Yeah, the Ratu and the Bati are there too. I think I have a bottle around.
I'll add really quick. It's important to remember that a lot of these brands back in 2004, the rum world we see today is very different than it was even 15 years ago. A lot of the rum being sold was bulk. Brands like Worthy Park didn't exist in 2004. So a lot of the distilleries were just competing to make bulk rum, not as branded rum. So they would make rum and they would sell it to whoever would buy it. So.
Yeah, and so South Pacific does have also following on to the Ratu, they've got one called Lautoka. They're not released yet. It's a 16-year.
Really?
And they've got a 20-year. Yeah, I've got one bottle of that was gifted to me. That I haven't opened yet. I tasted it at the distillery. Then they've got a 20-year that may be coming within the next year or two after that. So yeah, I should have. I'm not at home right now. Otherwise, I would show you. I had to come over to Suva today. So
what time is it in Fiji right now?
It's what, 12 something?
Okay.
12, almost 12:30. Yeah.
And what day? It's tomorrow or yesterday?
It's
November 30th in the USA.
It's December. Yeah, December 1st.
December.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother month in Fiji.
Hey,
Yes.
Constantine, have you tried this this Holmes Cay bottling?
Yes. I don't have it with me today, but I do have some bottles at home.
So how would you say, or let me ask this, would you say it is indicative of the quality that was being, of the rum that was being made in 2004 there?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got that one. I've got several others in that range. One of my favorites also is the Duchess. If there's still any of that left in the wild, I think it was, was it a 17, 18 year, Eric, do you know that? You know what I'm talking about there?
The 2001. Yeah, it was the same one that Samaroli put out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, but you can taste. I mean, when they're the most common rum they sell here is called Bounty. It's like about a 3-year-old overproof. And even in tasting that, you can taste. It's the same rum as soon as you open the bottle. So yeah.
Curious to see which countries you can get the Fiji Bounty and which countries you can get the St. Lucia Bounty, because they each have a Bounty rum.
I think it's
we thought that was interesting. So when we were in Fiji, we drank this all the time. The Bounty Overproof was what they had on the little island we stayed on. So But when we tasted the Holmes Cay, we said, it tastes like a Fiji rum. They have the same like peppery note to them.
Really?
That kind of makes them distinctive. Yeah.
Oh, I've got to try that.
Now I'm
Did you
gonna
guys
have
see
to,
the
Bye.
12-year bounty?
now I'm gonna have to do a little comparison because I've got the 2001 Samaroli.
Oh,
you go.
that's a hell of a rum.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I picked up actually 2 bottles of it, so I've got another one in my bowl.
John,
Yeah,
did you just pull that out of your pocket like you presented it?
Yeah, I just do that.
He has like a Mary Poppins bag that he just pulls out rum out of.
This is fun.
I wanted to call it that Craig messaged me and said he's getting some honey and honey graham cracker in the Fiji. I can see that. I can see that.
Well, speaking of, we that Bounty, one of the other ones we picked up is this Bounty honey flavored rum.
Oh,
It's pretty interesting. It's
It's a strange one.
you almost get like a buttered popcorn flavor with a little sweetness to it. It's really weird.
It really absolutely tastes like popcorn.
Hmm.
It's the strangest rum.
Have
We've
you had
people try it.
Have you had the Canary Islands rom miel? The honey rum they
No.
make. That's a style of rum they make in the Canary Islands. I'm curious
Ah.
to see if it's similar.
Look for it. We haven't been there yet.
Yeah, it's a rum trip.
Is that add it to the list?
it's a long list.
Should we drink the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Believe which, as you get set up there, Eric, I think the Fiji definitely got the ball rolling in a big way for you. But I think the Belize, and it didn't hurt that our good friend John Gullah and Will couldn't stop talking about it on the run. But I think that that was a surprise to everyone because most people, I won't say no one, John probably has 14 bottles of Belize rum, but most people don't have a lot of Belize rum in their inventory in America. And I think that really was it was 2005, right?
Yeah, the original one was a 2005.
And I think
that-
that got the ball rolling.
And that was the first ever tropically aged cast strength Belize rum. There had been some independent bottlers that had put out some from the UK that were at least half aged there, but we were the first ones to actually go down to Belize, poke around, and ship our bottles down there and do the whole thing at the distillery. And they thought we were crazy. They're like, you know, in Belize they drink it at 37%. They're like, no, you know, you actually want to bottle it in the 60s? I'm like, absolutely. And then this year, sure enough, they put out their own. So, you know, it's wonderful. They're the wonderful family, the Perdomo family. As you can see, that's their stills. They only 2 of those columns actually work. The third one is not really working these days, although they hope to get it back online. And there's an older still in the background, which is no longer used. And the photo is of the 2005. I'm sorry we didn't do a special photo session for the private barrel, but just kind of pretend there's an 8 in there. And
Next time I expect more.
And again, this is
Maura's made a note, Jay. Maura's noted that down.
Thank you.
there's a lot of rum purists and rum geeks that are like pot still or nothing. You know, if it's not a pot still, it's not a good rum, and that's crap. You know, this is an amazing column still rum. There are plenty of great column still rums out there. You know, a good distiller can make a good product with whatever still he has. And they've been doing it for 60 or 70 years now. But this one, you know, you get much more. To me, this is my dark chocolate and cigar rum. It really just the tobacco, the cherry and the plum and the stone fruit and just all that chocolatey goodness. I really like this rum.
Are you, Eric, are you drinking our barrel? Like you got to.
Oh yes, I saved a case.
I imagine that. Perfect. No, this was I think that that the first one, the 2005, blew a lot of people away.
Mhm.
And to have the chance to sample this '08, really, I get the same sort of like deep, like a dark chocolate, like that has almost no sweetener to it, like just cocoa beans or whatever they are, and I get a little bit of that tobacco too.
I'm sitting here with them side by side, the 05 and the 08. The 05 seems to be a little heavier, a little thicker, a little richer.
Yeah, I would agree. One of the main reasons for that, well, there's two. One is it was double distilled, so they ran that through twice, and two, it was aged in Belize City, whereas the 08 was aged in Belmopan, inland. So that definitely affects it. This one is a little drier for sure. This rum and Barbados are the two that I found that bourbon drinkers really, really respond to, much more so than say a Jamaican or, God forbid, a South African would scare them running. They really respond strongly to this Belize rum. It's a recognizable profile for some reason.
Craig's only messaging me. I don't know if he wants to message everyone, but he was saying that it's popular with whiskey aficionados, and it, in Craig's words directly, it rivals the best of any Foursquare rum. So there you go.
Nicer words couldn't be given to nicer people. They're really wonderful. If any of you take a visit down to Belize, I strongly recommend. They have a whole visitor center and little museum in Belize City, and you can taste all of they still have my favorite coconut rum anywhere. It's called Cooknut, Kuknat, which I think they're gonna rename to Faluma, but it's really a spectacular coconut rum among all their other rums. And they make some
Eric?
Yes, sir.
I've got a question for you.
Mhm.
So I was in Chicago back in September and picked up a 2006.
Yes.
So is this different than the 2005? Is it a different barrel or?
Yeah, it's totally different. Well, it's a different year, obviously, but
Yeah.
the 2006 is closer in profile, I would say, to the 2008. They were both single distilled and they were both aged in Belmopan. Being 2 more years in the oak.
Yeah, so I had a side by side with them, and I would say that they are very, very similar. So
yeah, the 2000.
If you had to pick a favorite, though, Matt.
I'm when I first tasted, so I snuck a little bit before the happy hour because I was like, listen, I need to find out how close they are. At first I didn't like the 2008 as much as the 2006, but I'll tell you that as I've gone on, I think the 2008 is a little smoother. The 2006 seems to be a little bit more high ester. It feels like it's a little more burn on the back of the throat with it than you get with the 2008.
I found it had like a deeper, I think you're like similar thing, like a deeper profile, more complex going on in the 08. I tried in full transparency, I tried the 06, a barrel of the 06 and a barrel of the 08 to pick the one for us. So I had a chance to try both of them.
Good choice.
And it looks like the aging on it says it's a 15-year, the 06.
Correct.
As opposed to the 13 that's in the 08. So that might be the difference.
Yeah, that's definitely the difference, I would say.
That's what mine is. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that my 2 friends who are the B word drinkers really like the 2006. That is, and they've had
converting them.
Yeah, they've had the Mahoba, they've had the Australia, they've had the Guyana 2003. Actually, they both bought bottles of that. And then they really like the Belize as well. So I'm slowly but surely converting them over to rum.
Doing God's work, Matt. Well done.
Keep preaching the good word.
Hey, I have the 2005 because again, the 2008 is in my shipment that I haven't shipped yet. My order I haven't shipped yet. So I three quick things to say about this. I went and ran and grabbed some dark chocolate. Amazing pairing.
Yeah.
I really don't do a lot of pairings with rum. I really don't. I just like rum by itself. but this with the dark chocolate was phenomenal. So nice. Second thing is, as I was sipping this, I really, you know, I love that you mentioned that, you know, or reminded everyone that it's column still. It, to me, comes off like a pot still rum. It really does. I mean, I think it's got the weight, you know, it's got the complexity, it's got the, you know, it's got the severity or the sturdiness to it that you just rarely find in a column, you know, distilled rum. But what's interesting is, so my first thought is to say, oh, this is column because it tastes like a pot still. But I think that that's the wrong thing to say. It's not that it tastes like a pot still. It's that a column still rum can taste this way, which is an important reminder, which I think is better than saying, well, oh, somehow they accidentally made a column still rum that tastes like a pot still rum. No, they just did something really amazing and magical in a column still, and it shows here. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to taste that in this. And the third thing, you've told us, reminded us tonight, and you told us in previous calls what great people they are and what a wonderful family this group is. And I think that's important because for me personally, I believe that rum is, above all things, rum is a people business. Rum is about people first and then the product, because there are plenty of other products out there. But you know what drew me into rum as an enthusiast was the people I encountered, because there are other great products and other great spirits and other things that you can consume, but the people in rum is what made the difference for me. So it's nice to hear that this distillery is made up of a group of fine people, and I appreciate you just telling us about them and sharing about your good experiences with them.
Yeah, I think you'll find that in almost all of the rum world. Thankfully, it's always been sort of the underdog spirit, and that cultivates a let's all stick together and raise rum's profile together.
Nearly all, yep.
Rum family is not really a cliche. It's the truth, and generally the major players in rum are much more accessible. Like, you know, Richard Seal is on every week doing a Zoom or a chat or something. Maggie Campbell is tremendously generous. You know, if you want to speak to anybody in rum, they're not that hard to get to, and they'll love to talk your ear off for an hour or two about rum. Yeah, it's really a great group.
I was thinking when Travis was describing, you know, the way that you kind of encounter these column still products too. These are older column stills, as you can see by their kind of disrepair, right? I mean, these are almost antique. They're from the 50s or 60s, Eric?
I think these are from the 70s, the columns. Yeah, but still 50-year-old, manually operated.
Manually operated. So do you think that also makes a bit of a difference between, you know, the sort of up to the minute stuff being done?
Absolutely. And again, keep in mind that one of my favorite rums that we've put out, the Guyana Iflot, again, is a 19th century column still, but it's still a column still. Mauritius rums, which I don't know if we have any of the Mauritius in Florida. I don't think, you know, column still rum. Pretty much almost all of the agricoles are column still rums. You know, there's nothing wrong. All the Cuban rums are column still rums for the most part.
So yeah, we kind of got closer to that concept of there being value judgments in you know, in how you classify rum, so that the pot still being a batch product versus the continuous still, you can, you know, there's that school that says one is more valuable than the other, and you know, economically speaking, maybe cheaper to you know, run a column still, but at the same time, once you age it and you know, you get to this point, I think you can see that there's plenty to say about each style.
I think the advantage of a column still actually is the accuracy that the distillers can run when they're making their cuts. And I think that's probably what makes them more efficient. But some of these people are such great artists. It's just interesting talking to them. They treat these stills like they're children, and they just do one little tap here, one little click here, and it just makes a big difference in what comes out. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think, Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, when we were at West Indies, they're still running part of a column still that was there since the beginning. Am I right? Like the 1890s?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Actually, no, that original column still is no longer in operation there. I'm not even sure if it's still physically present there. The oldest column still they have there is 1945 era. That's not operational. The oldest operational one they use is the one from 1975. So.
But I thought Matt. I thought he told us that they were using part of it was not the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I think what you're talking about is the condenser. There's that air condenser. Remember the long, tall silver thing? It's right by the hot pot. If you look up, it's long and a bunch of like whole tubes. So that's a condenser. So it's part of the column still, but it's not the main part of the still. It's sort of like the cooling instead of like a worm coil or something like that. So
that's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah, that's all good. But yeah, a good recollection on that one.
This is a question for Matt. The oldest column still in operation, would that be the Enmore?
That's a really good question. Enmore is certainly the wooden one. Enmore is certainly amongst the oldest ones I'm aware of. The old ones aren't terribly efficient, so if a distillery is holding on to them, they're losing money. But yeah, I can't.
That or the French Saval.
Those are from the same area, and the whole evolution of how all those came to be and that influence each other is something I've been deeply studying, but don't have enough yet to sort of put down on paper yet. But it's certainly part of the stuff I'm actively investigating.
Matt, maybe you should just ask Carrie. She probably knows.
She probably knows.
Well, it seemed, Eric, the way you were describing, we're starting to talk about, what's the oldest column still. It starts to sound like a trivia question.
Trivia.
Oh, that is a trivia. Look at Maura. That's why she's here.
What a segue.
Unless if anybody wants to keep talking, that's
I'm curious.
It's a good topic.
So we came up with this little quiz because in confession here, I was on the high school quiz bowl team. I may or may not have been the captain of the high school quiz bowl team. And there is video out there somewhere. So I thought, what would make the month fun? It was our month to do with whatever we wanted to in the Florida Rum Society. So I said, why not a trivia contest? We had 11 entrants, and I'll just put it out of the way in the beginning rather than at the end. The winner was a ringer who graciously stepped aside. He's here, and he probably knows more about rum than all of us put together, which is Matt Pietrek. So it's almost not fair for him to enter a competition. So yeah,
I just wanted to see how I did.
Yeah, you did. Yes,
you did very well.
It was scored a total of 42 possible points. Matt got 40 of them. So.
I'll still debate you on one of them, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, you can't debate me on the one you left blank.
That's true. I cannot. I'll accept that one.
So
we were quite honored that you chose to participate, Matt.
That was just fun. That was
so
fun.
I'll admit I kind of blew the first question off the bat. So I'm gonna accept 2 correct answers for this one. And this is one of the ones that Matt wants to argue. In what present-day country did Saccharum officinarum, known as sugarcane, originate? Almost all of you said New Guinea. New Guinea is not a country. New Guinea is an island that is made up of 2 countries, Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. So one person got Indonesia right. Nobody guessed PNG. I know, semantics, but I should have phrased the question better. And
the quiz bowl captain.
He does not bend for anyone.
No, that's okay. Everybody was treated fairly on this one.
He bends for no man.
Then there were some easy ones that everybody got right. The first country to distill rum in the Caribbean, not to distill cane spirits, because Brazil was doing it first, but Barbados was the first one to be known as rum. Martinique was, distilling things, and Brazil, obviously, but the first written, and I think, Matt, you can attest to that?
Yeah, I mean, it says like what I've written is that somewhere between 1630 and 1640, it seems both Martinique and Barbados have strong evidence of it. But since you wrote generally known, and
yes,
on popular consensus, yes, I put it in Barbados.
That's why I use the words generally known.
Yes,
and they were the first to actually, call it rum, or at least that it was referred to in historical. So, okay, the 3 requirements for spirit to be classified as rum. There's actually 4, but one of them isn't really a requirement. I guess it is, but here they are. It has to be distilled from sugarcane, either syrup, molasses, byproducts, distilled less than 95% alcohol. And the third one, which is kind of strange, it has to taste like rum. And then it has to be bottled at least 80 proof. Now what are the characteristics generally attributed to rum? I don't think the TTB knows that. When you compare,
yeah, I am surprised I got this one because I felt like there was something else I was forgetting. But how many people got this one right?
A lot of people, actually, surprisingly. A lot of people got 2 out of 3 points on it, but to get actually 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 11 got it completely right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost everybody got at least 1 or 2 of them. So, the one having the taste, aroma, and characteristics attributed to rum, that's kind of odd, but that's actually the legal definition of rum.
And I don't think they're enforcing that.
You beat me to it by a second.
I just that's the thing. The other 3 are factual. How do you generally attribute a characteristic of a spirit? Who's the arbiter to say this tastes like rum and this doesn't?
Can Matt pull us up the list of whiskey rules? Because
oh my gosh,
there's more than 4. I know that.
There are plenty. So, most common species of yeast, spelling does not count. So don't worry, there were some fun spellings.
Yeah, I didn't cheat and look it up. So
Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Well pronounced.
There it is. Yeah. That's used in most rums. There's Pombay, there's a few other strains of yeast. Obviously, there's all the wild yeasts that come in, but that is the most common species. What percentage was originally designated as proof in Britain? Now, I'm sure Matt can expound on this way deeper than me. It was originally sort of when it would set on fire, which was around 57-ish. They set it as 100 degrees proof, was the same weight of 12/13 of the same volume of pure water at 51 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know why they came up with that number. 57.15. Then in 1980, they kind of just made it easier and set it to 4/7 of the ratio of water, which came out to 57.14. Matt, would you care to expound on that a little more?
Yeah, I mean the whole gunpowder thing is interesting to how there's stories about how they originally, they did this test in 1816, and then they did test again 50 years later. I find no evidence of that. I've also seen no evidence that they were doing the gunpowder test on boats for the Royal Navy.
Yeah, they weren't. They were lighting it on fire, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing about this is that technically Navy strength was less than proof. So the whole argument about then the gunpowder was lit on, the gunpowder would be lit on fire, proof. But no, it's dumb because they were actually sending rum out at less than that strength. So it doesn't make sense that they were doing that test. There were other ways of measuring proof, and they were generally only accurate to about 10%. Another one was like basically vials, basically little vials you would put the spirit in, and if you shook it around, you would examine the bubbles, and they could get relatively close. But it wasn't till as far as I know, the first hydrometer that was sort of trying to, sort of consistently measure proof was around 1740 or so. So long predating the Sykes hydrometer that a lot of people say like, oh, this is the first. It wasn't. So I'll stop now.
What year was the Sykes hydrometer?
Sykes was actually invented around 1805, and then he died. And basically, the British government selected it, and then 2 months later he died. And so basically his widow and his kids had to basically fight to retain the government contract to produce them. So.
And I guess that's why they were able to define it in 1816.
Yeah. I've never seen where that 12. Well, so the 1816 document, as far as I can tell, is about defining. Okay, we're gonna proof is this, and we're gonna tie it to the Sykes hydrometer. I'm drawing a blank on what the prior hydrometer was, but it was essentially saying that law was not so much about declaring a proof strength. It seemed to be more about saying, now we're counting proof on versus the Sykes hydrometer, not the prior one. So
thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right. Number 6. What kind of cask? Everybody got this one right. Ex-bourbon, and I also accepted American oak, which is what bourbon is made of. That there's a few gimmies in there. Predominantly, not all, but I would say the vast majority, because that's what's available. It's cheap. Bourbon can only be used once, so there's a whole bunch of extra bourbon casks laying around, and it's easy to ship them down to the Caribbean. Order the countries by number of rum distilleries from greatest to least. Most people got this one. I think the numbers may surprise you. There's 1 distillery in Fiji, 3 in Grenada, 4 in Barbados, 6 in Jamaica, over 50. I think at last count there was 58.
No idea.
There are a ton of little micro distilleries, just like there are in the United States. There's distilleries in every state. They're all over Australia too. There's over 50 distilleries making rum in Australia.
Just like the United States, so there are only like 2 or 3 that do it well.
I think that's for a rum traveler to discover and decide, right? That's another trip for their list.
I can sadly say I'm missing, at least 45 of them I have not yet tried. So
fair enough.
I think I need to make another Australia trip.
I think if the rum travelers do it, we're probably gonna have to spend a couple months there.
Yeah, we're gonna need like 6 months. So we'll let
the Australians do it. They come here, they stay for months and months, right? Perfect.
I'm sure I can work from there.
You better buy extra onesies.
Yeah, I only have the 1 kangaroo. It's gonna get worn out fast.
Be a wallop.
Oh yeah.
Koala, a wombat.
So you need a wombat.
A dingo.
Fun fact, did you know the wombat poops square?
Yeah.
Who knew that? Just me.
My hand is raised. My hand is raised.
All right, thank you.
When you have children in elementary school, you know about wombat.
Square poop. So yes, we need a major Australian distillery tour, which would probably take months. Richard Nicholson's house is vacant. He's in New Zealand though, isn't he?
He's in France today, but yeah.
Okay.
I offered to fly down there and house sit for him, but he didn't take me up on it.
They wouldn't let you in yet, would they?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Locked down still.
So 5 female. At first, I thought this was going to be kind of a tough one, and it was, because most people don't know all the distilleries and blenders and who makes what. That's kind of real rum geek stuff. When I actually dove in, there were way more than even I thought there were, and it's really amazing. And this is just a partial list that I'm going to show you guys now. Here are some current female master blenders. Obviously, everybody knows Joyce Spence and Trudy Ann Branker, Lorena Vasquez as a Kappa, but I mean, going through that list: Santa Teresa, Angostura, Carupano, Rum JM, Centenario, Havana Club, Brugal, Cihuatan, DDL, Botron, I mean, it's an amazing thing. Gender equity in master blenders. I didn't put Maggie Campbell on there or Karen Hoskin, who are both amazing rum makers. They don't consider themselves master blenders. They consider themselves distillers or founders. But I accepted either of those as well, Karen and Maggie, as answers. But it's really another wonderful thing about rum as compared to other spirits. Yes, there are some female whiskey makers, but they're more the exception to the rule. And you just look at this list and it's amazing how many amazing, well-known rums are being blended by women. It's just awesome. Yeah, Women in Rum website. It lists, all the hundreds of people working in this industry. And not to say that I'm sure all of them haven't had to deal with a lot of, bullshit along the way, but it doesn't look like there's a glass ceiling from here. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that, but I just love this list.
I think that the blender from Don Q is a woman as well.
That's great.
Sylvia.
Yeah, I couldn't fit them all. There's another Havana Club blender also who was just elevated to Master Ronero.
Sylvia is actually, spoiler alert, at midnight, Don Q is our last rum of the month for 2021, and Sylvia is joining us on our virtual happy hour with them. So I will say, not to get us off track, but I know very little about Don Q and Puerto Rican rum, so I'm excited because it's a completely different experience than we've had for a lot of our virtual happy hours and rum and month. So it'll be exciting to hear from her. And
it was great. Another family-owned distillery.
Yeah. Everyone that I've talked to from there has just been an amazing individual who was like so open to talking about their story and sharing their thoughts and everything. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah,
the 7-year and the XO are
Bacardi gets all the glory, but if you're down in Puerto Rico, Don Q is what they drink.
Yeah,
that's part.
And Barrelito.
Yeah, and Barrelitos.
See,
this was another gimme. There was sort of a recurring theme. If you hadn't realized it, a lot of the answers have dealt with rums that we've released. And Binley is, I believe, not only the oldest rum distillery, but they might be the oldest operating distillery period in Australia. They've been around for a long time and make great rum. 5 rum brands produced and bottled by the Foursquare Distillery. Most people got most of these right. A couple of you got half points, which I will see. So, and this is mostly a complete list, not fully. Foursquare, obviously, Dourley's, Real McCoy, R.L. Seal, Old Brigand, ESA Field, Elaine Arthurs, and I decided to give a half point for Probitas and Equiano, because it's not purely produced by Foursquare. Those rums were, half Hamden and half Grays. They were bottled. So if you answered Probitas, you got half a point. But this was a 5-point question. Chrisma would also have been accepted. Are there any I'm forgetting?
Rum Brando, is it a rum?
No, it's not a rum. You're right.
All right.
You're right. So that's probably why I didn't put it on there. I think that's all of them. No, if anybody can think of any others that they have produced and bottled, speak now. Otherwise, we're moving on. The only 5 places in the world where rum agricole can legally be made. Only 2 people got this right. One of them being Matt Pietrek, who guessed.
It's on our website.
Yeah. Is it?
I think so. I think if you go to the rums by country, we have all the agricoles together.
So tell me what those 5 places are.
I don't know. So Martinique,
Guadeloupe.
Yep. And 3 more.
Marie Galliette.
Marie Gallant.
No. Marie Gallant is part of Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is an archipelago. Guadeloupe is not a single island.
Reunion.
Reunion, yeah.
Is 3.
Okay. French Guyana.
French Guyana is 4. And
Madeira.
The 5th one, Madeira is the 5th one. It's not a French. It's not a French island. It's Portuguese, but they are allowed to make rum agricole.
Oh man, that's a deep cut there.
So Guadeloupe is really 5. It's Grand Terre, Basse Terre, Marie Gallant, and Le Désiré, and I forget the 5th little islands that are inhabited, but
It's Les Saints.
Yes, Les Saints. Thank you. That is what Guadeloupe is. There's no single island called Guadeloupe.
Hey, Eric,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna augment this just a little bit, say, the wording is very important here, and specifically, rum agricole is a protected term in the European Union. So to be sold as rum agricole in the European Union, it is limited to those 5 places. You can go to Hawaii and buy rum agricole and it's legal.
Right.
That's something a lot of people don't wrap their head around. So when regulations are entirely dependent on the context where they're evaluated.
100%. Absolutely right. Yes, I should have clarified in the EU. Because there's Puerto Rican rum agricole, there's Hawaiian rum agricole, there's American rum agricole, but it's just like American
the EU
champagne.
Does not follow the American regulate, or the America does not follow the EU regulations.
They only follow 4 rules.
Right. So let's see what's okay. Colloquial. This was another gimme that everybody got right, I believe. Angel share. I didn't want to make them all too hard.
Appreciate it.
Another relatively easy that almost everyone got right. We've already talked about them today, and you're drinking it today. That's Traveler's Distillery in Belize. Omario Perdomo and his kids still run it. And I think their kids will run it afterwards. 3 cane spirits that are not rum. There's a lot of them, so I thought that was pretty easy, and most people were able to come up with. Let me see, almost everybody. Yep, almost everybody got that right. Here's just a few: cachaça, charanda, aguardiente, claran, grog, guaro, tafia, arak. I debated whether to include arak because arak usually has rice also in it, but not always. So it's acceptable. Somebody answered vodka, and by definition, vodka cannot be rum. You can have a cane spirit vodka, but yeah, actually, vodka could be rum. Yeah, no, you know what? I would have to accept vodka. It's not rum because it's distilled above 95%, but it can be made with cane. So yes.
Actually, I would add, most countries will call it, because aguardiente doesn't have to be from sugarcane.
No.
Aguardiente de caña.
Yes, correct. And there's also one in Africa just called cane spirits, which is a style of rum, which is also acceptable.
What is stuff in Peru? Piso?
Pisco is not a sugarcane spirit.
Grapes.
Yes.
It's okay. I wasn't sure. That's why I asked.
Pisco, but guaro is made in South America.
Right.
Boba,
right?
What's that?
That's from Bad Droppings, right?
Yes, exactly. That's guano.
Oh,
No. So everybody got this right except for Matt Pietrek. Sugarcane in the Siswati language. That was, I guess it wasn't a gimme, but you all mostly got it. Moving on. What is unique about Guyana's Port Moran still? I thought this would be easy. The only person to get it right was Matt Pietrek. Everybody says it's wooden, but that is not what's unique about it. It's the only double wooden still. There are other wooden pot stills, the Versailles still in Guyana. I don't know if there's any others.
Yeah, and
but-
more.
The Enmore is not a pot still. The
No,
Enmore
but,
is a
yeah, but
compound.
you said what is unique? Okay, if you just said it's a wooden still,
Right.
the Enmore is a wooden still.
You're correct. It's the double wooden pot still.
Technically, they call it vat stills.
That, yes. So that is the Port Moran still. The cool that I love the number of stills they have at DDL. It's amazing that they're all in one place. And so cool
Very
that
close
they're
together.
using and they're using all of them still.
Right.
It's like incredible. This one almost all of you got relatively easy. The C Diamond H is Hamden. ITP Long Pond, which just came out this year. EMB is a Clarendon mark. NYE New Yarmouth, obviously, and WP was pretty much a gimme with Worthy Park. And these are just, one of up to 20 different marks that each of these distilleries can make. Well, Worthy Park doesn't make 20 marks, nor does New Yarmouth, as far as I know, but the other three have a big range of marks that they make. And I think Matt could go on about all of the marks.
But I won't.
Okay, because we're getting there. Okay, I love this one. Everybody got this one right. How many grams of sugar or fresh rum distillate? 0. People say 0 to 5. That can be in a barrel aged, but fresh rum distillate, 0. There's no sugar. It's alcohol vapors. Sugar does not distill through. Oh, we lost there's the answer and the question. July 31st, 1970, Black Tot Day. Almost everybody got this one right also. The last day the Royal Navy issued sailors the daily rum ration. And the last question.
And hold on, I was going to say.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
That word daily is important.
Yes.
Because they have issued rum rations since then.
Yes.
It's not daily.
The daily rum ration. Absolutely.
Quizmaster.
For like the Queen's birthday and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
That's why it's
Good day
daily
to drink
ration.
rum.
Yes, and there are regulations. I think I shared them at one point. There are regulations as to not only who can issue who can call for a ration, as well exactly what constitute a ration. And a ration does not have to be rum. It can be any spirit.
It can be brandy. It can be.
Yes.
Just has to be alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I want
last
that power.
question.
I want the power to call for a rum ration.
I think you have to be royal.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
it's
Probably
like
not going to
the
get that.
Queen and the immediate royal family or something
Yeah.
like that.
As far as
Jay?
I'm concerned, Jay, you should be able to call for a rum ration among the Florida Rum Society anytime you want.
I appreciate that, Travis. Maybe we'll institute that.
Can we dub Jay the Florida Rum Society King?
Oh God.
And for those of you that haven't seen, I will show this off. This is an actual tot. This is a flagon of Navy rum right here. This was an early Christmas present I came across, and it's from 1955. And this is what the tot used to come out of. They would get these big flagons and they would just pour it out, everybody in their little tot cup, and this was the real deal.
Well, actually, I mean, they would have poured it from that and then diluted it.
Right.
Did you
What-
pick that up in Liverpool? Or yeah, in Liverpool.
I saw some in Liverpool and I was trying to buy them, and the guy who owned the 2 pallets of them did not want to sell them, but I found somebody here in New York that had one, believe it or not. So yes, I'm debating whether to open it now or wait till 2055 for the 100th anniversary and drink some 100-year-old rum.
Huh, that's interesting. You just let us know where to be and we'll show up.
Absolutely. We will have a big party. I guarantee that one. My 85th birthday.
You know what I have to say, Eric, that I appreciate that you have decided that you're definitely going to drink it.
Oh yeah.
Because the perfect example was, I don't know that he'd care that he said it live, is that I asked Martin Cate if he would ever open his 17-year Ray and Nephew bottle, which for most, like, it's mostly believed, I don't know if Matt has any further information that it's the last bottle maybe in the world.
Steve must have some.
Does he? I don't know. Matt Pietrek.
I've heard Luca has some as well.
Yeah, well, he bought all of Steve's, I think, as well. So
I don't know if Steve had it though. I had heard Martin brought a little to Steve at one point. So
okay.
But Martin said he wasn't ever going to open it. He couldn't bring himself to do it. So,
John Atkins does not have 3 bottles. Does he really?
Yeah. No, it's 4.
No.
I have a bottle of Dagger, but I don't have the Ray and Nephew. No.
All right. Last question, Eric.
No, somebody else is sharing there. Who's
Someone's
that?
sharing their phone.
Okay. Last question. And there were a lot of correct answers for this one. So there's only one answer I didn't want to accept, and I didn't, but we go. Vanillin, glycerol, also known as propylene glycol, sugar in all forms, prune juice, sherry syrup, honey, molasses, caramel. The one answer I did not accept was caramel coloring or spirit caramel, because that is not used to affect the flavor. That's really only used to affect the appearance. And that's generally not.
Prune juice, I think, was actually prune wine.
Prune wine, you're right. I'm sorry. Prune wine. Prune syrup. Anyway, all of these have been commonly used to make rums taste better. They taste smoother, they taste older. Glycerol gives it that thick mouthfeel. You know, when you see it kind of drip down the sides of a glass, slow, a lot of times that's glycerol. And, you know, rum is not the only spirit that has these, you know, additives. It's common in tequilas. Whiskey people will say no, 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 never, but
it's completely bullshit.
Yes.
Very, very, very clear evidence of it going back to the 1700s.
So, you know, there has been adulteration done to alcohol since alcohol's been distilled.
The interesting thing about adulteration is that their terminology for it, what they called adulteration, was actually stretching a spirit with something inferior. So taking a rum and stretching it with like grain alcohol for whatever. I think what they would have said of like a sugar syrup or something like that, which were blenders, those weren't considered adulteration. It was essentially stretching it with something in large quantities, not small amount of flavoring. So
yeah, interesting.
So like the German way of when
Verschnitt. Yes.
Right. So that was adulteration.
I mean, and actually some, I believe there were some British sources that would have had called the German the Verschnitt, he called it adulterated. But it was very common in the UK that, you know, you would take a fine Jamaican rum, which is highly priced, and stretch it with like grain alcohol, which was made in the UK and very inexpensive and made in the column still. And that's usually, you know, in the sources I had to talk about, there are literally books about adulterated spirits, and usually it was referring to stretching, not, you know, a little bit of sugar or a prune wine or something like that. That was just sort of accepted practice.
Those of you that don't know what rum Verschnitt is, it's a German style of rum where they would just import really, really high ester concentrated Jamaican rum and then mix that with, you know, some grain spirit or neutral spirit.
Beet spirit.
Yeah, beet spirit to just make it cheaper rather than having.
Because it avoided their import taxes that they like. We want people to drink our local stuff. We're going to tax the hell out of anything that comes in. So they basically like, we can bring in a small amount, you know, pay the taxes on a small amount of rum concentrate from Jamaica, and then stretch it with beet spirit.
Yeah, and now you have people that like to drink like DOK and Teca straight, which is, you know,
never done at the time.
Never.
I have plenty of sources, including the West India Royal Commission. I'm sorry, the Royal Commission on Whiskey and Potable Spirits. I mean, got it really clear. It's like, we don't drink this stuff here.
Yeah, you know, to me, it's kind of like the quintuple IPAs that we just want to get hoppier and hoppier.
Yeah,
we're gonna have an 8 times IPA.
Exactly, the octomore of octomores.
Where do wet casks fall into this? So if somebody has a old wine barrel, whether it's Madeira or, and they refill it with rum, and that's still that's a wine. But does that fall in the same category as what we're talking about?
It depends how wet. I mean, if it's a little, if it's moist, that's different than being 4 liters of, poured in the bottom of the barrel.
But of course, that involves transparency.
Yeah, it's all about transparency. So welcome, Jamal.
So here we go, Eric. So we know the story from Matt. Thank you, Matt, for getting 99% of them right.
Yes.
But we have an official winner.
We do have an official winner, and we have a 2-way tie for second place. So all 3 winners will get some Holmes Cay swag for sure.
Oh man.
Yes. I'm sorry. The winner is Joe Horsecamp, which I can't say I'm surprised with that wall of rum behind him. 37 out of 42. Well done, Joe. Or was that a joint entry with Missy?
It's all me.
It's all Missy.
I started the thing. I put my name on it, and then I was like, "Yeah, let's do it together."
I knew it.
Hey, Eric, send Joe all large shirts, okay? Just all large.
Yeah.
No, he wears an extra small.
I think there may be 2 shirts involved. And then the tie for second, 33, was Matt Lowe, who I think is here, and Michael Dwarek, who I don't think is here.
I think Mike's he's a pilot. I think he's on a flight right now. But
Mike's flying. Well, we can let you guys tied for second place, and honorable mention, of course, goes to Matt Pietrek, who he literally is writing the book on rum. So he should have gotten all 42, but some of them were obscure.
I didn't look anything up.
No, I know.
I to be honest, I hadn't paid attention to Mahoba. I like it. I just hadn't paid attention to it.
Which answer did he leave blank?
Mahoba.
Oh, that's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, Matt. I see you there with the waves in the background. Way to go, my friend.
Thank you.
That was I will give this. I'll give this bit of disclaimer. Had I not been part of FRS, I don't know that I would have been able to answer most of those questions.
Wow.
And specifically the women in rum one, because after our virtual with Joy Spence, I went on a search because I was like, I want to see. And that women in rum website is amazing. It just to have a field where women are really doing amazing things is exciting. I mean, I think and what a boon to the spirit world to say, listen, this is an area where women excel, and man, more power to them. And I'm looking forward to seeing Maggie's name on that list more and more.
See, Maggie doesn't consider herself a master blender. She's
not there yet, but she'll get there.
Now she's at Mount Gay though, so
yeah.
That's what doesn't mean once were or currently. So
she definitely has the skills to be a master blender if she wanted to call herself that. And nobody would argue.
No doubt about it. Right. She considers herself a distiller first and foremost, right?
Yeah. And now she's the estate manager, which is awesome.
Yeah. So
I think some of us who were in Barbados saw something that she's going to be responsible for.
FRS private barrel?
No, well, I mean something.
Abbott was in charge of that.
No, something we saw when we toured Mount Gay.
Awesome. Well, that'll be exciting to see one day.
So that was the now we just have one little slide on what's coming.
I was gonna say, I saw it pop up real quick before you put it down.
What's next?
What can you share with us with what's next? It's got to be next.
On Thursday, we are bottling 5 barrels, 2 barrels to start because we're waiting for more glass to come in. But we have 5 barrels of 2012 port cask 4 square rum. It was 8 years in Barbados. and then 1 year in port here. So this one has no UK aging. How is that possible if he doesn't sell rum directly? Well, he shipped some 8-year Foursquare over to Amsterdam. And before it got put into barrels, we shipped it right back to New York and put it immediately in 5 port barrels. This will be 9-year rum at 55% alcohol. It's pretty tasty, I think.
So it's been a year in New York?
1 year in New York, correct.
In the port barrel?
Correct.
Got it.
Metropolitan aging.
Yes, metropolitan.
Like the sound of that.
It's still continental. It's just not that continent. Yes. So it's I'm excited for that one. And then what I'm really excited about.
That's what I'm excited about. This one.
Yes. So 10 Cane was amazing. Those of you that may or may not remember 10 Cane. 10 Cane Distillery was Moet Hennessy. Was it? No, was it Remy Cointreau? No, it was
LVMH.
LVMH. It was Moet Hennessy. They wanted to come up with a rum to compete against Bacardi, and they poured a whole lot of money, and they built a pot still distillery in the Angostura grounds.
Actually, no, it wasn't Angostura. It was a separate.
It was a separate piece of land, right? And they poured a whole bunch of money in, and they were only selling like 30,000 cases a month instead of the 300,000 cases they expected. So they pulled the plug. You know, they sold off the stills. That was the end of it. It was around 2015 or 16 they stopped production.
They moved to they started up in Foursquare for a bit.
Yeah.
Finally pulled the plug.
They transferred it, and when they pulled the plug on Trinidad, they shipped the remaining stocks over to Foursquare. And after a year or two, they pulled the plug on that. And Richard had all these casks of 10 Cane rum still from the original Trinidad, and he just shipped them over to Maine Rum.
And I've somehow managed to never have that rum. So
and I was able to get a number of these casks, thankfully. And my plan is to release 2 a year for as long as they last. So we can try them at 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. Not unlike the Caroni. Again, it's a cane juice rum. So it was made with cane juice, not molasses, and it was a pot still rum. So that's an unusual combo right there.
Cognac still even.
And it's really, really good. I can't wait to release this rum. It's really exciting.
When do you think the first ones will hit?
Probably in March. I would say February or March.
God and the glass ships willing.
Yes. Right now, nobody can get glass.
You want us to send our MTs back to you?
You know what? But we're told the first shipment is due next week. You know, we spoke to Savor Glass, who makes our bottles, and they said, yeah, you know, we can get you some in 2023. But thankfully, we can get some through their other, you know, sub wholesalers that, you know, manage to still be able to get theirs since they buy in, you know, much larger quantities than we do.
Nice.
Well, this is your opportunity to do a St. Nicholas Abbey thing where you bring it back and get a half price on the second.
Yeah, right. And bring your bottle back.
Like,
so
no.
I'm very excited. And then in March we have another Barbados rum that we put into another cask, which not quite ready to reveal yet because we only have one of the casks. It was a really, really expensive cask, and to my knowledge, it hasn't been done yet. And I'm not sure yet whether that's gonna, you know, where that's gonna get split up, whether it's gonna be a private pick or we're gonna release the single cask out to the market. But it's a really, really cool rum also. So that'll probably come out around the same time as the 10 Cane. Port cask we should have out December or January. Well, I guess it's December already, but either right before Christmas or January, whereas the 10 Cane and the mystery cask will probably be March. While we're waiting for more rum to get here, we have 11 barrels of rum on the way up from Jamaica. The original plan was to bottle those in Jamaica, but with the global shipping nightmare, getting our glass down there and getting the rum back would have added another 8 months to the timeline and added another $5 or $10 to the bottle. Shipping costs have gone through the roof. I mean, like more than tripled. So
What where are those, which distillery are those coming from?
we've got some Clarendon, we've got some Long Pond.
Nice.
Yes.
That'll be exciting.
It's nice. It's the similar mark to the one that the distillery released, but ours is going to be a little closer to the cast strength. They go into the barrel, close to 80% or more. So
is it ITP?
It is ITP.
I'm all over that.
We have some 2007 ITP on the way up.
This is good stuff.
Nice. Nice.
And
go ahead.
it's probably going to be at least 10 points higher than the official distillery release.
Which is really good.
Down with ITP.
Travis was asking about the Trinidad. That's not going to be we'll be able to. That's not exclusive. We'll be able to get that in Florida.
Yeah, that's definitely going to send at least 10 cases to Florida.
Do you think we're gonna leave you all out?
Well, just want to. I didn't. I know you're not going to. Eric is very kind that he almost texts me the second that he's able to get it down to us.
I mean, right now, and this is a function of us working with Park Street, who handles our back office. Through them, we can self-distribute in New York, Florida, and California. So those 3 states will always get allocations no matter what.
I wanted to make sure it wasn't you weren't gonna private barrel it.
No, the 10 cane will not be private barreled. There's too few of them. But the plan is to release 2 barrels a year for the next until our stocks run out. I can't wait to share this rum. It's such a surprise because it was like a 18-month or 2-year rum originally. It was meant to be a daiquiri rum, a mojito rum. So they never intended it to sit there for 9 or 10 years. And they definitely never intended to release it at cast strength.
Does it have a lot of strong, is a fairly strong cane juice note to it?
Less than you would think.
You can barrel after that time.
Yeah. It really, it does not.
It makes me wonder, like, if they were barreling it, selling it in like a year or two, were their market not ready for rum agricole at the time?
Yeah, that was part of it. They weren't ready for rum agricole. It had that. It was much more like that originally, and you can still find bottles of the original 10 cane everywhere.
I love it when they pop up. But do we have any of the Trinidad? I feel like we have some of the Foursquare.
No, we have some of the we have a bottle or 2 of the Trinidad, I think. But yeah, it's you hear sugarcane pot still and you think MOBA, but it's not like that. It doesn't have the long open air fermentation. It's just a really flavorful rum.
I found 10 of the little pint bottles in New Jersey this year. So $5 a piece. I scarfed them all up. Let me tell you.
That's amazing. It makes a great daiquiri, it makes a great mojito. It was a great rum. I was sad to see it go.
So how does what you have compare to what's been bottled before?
It's a lot older. It's a lot darker. Yeah. I mean, compare a real McCoy 3 to a real McCoy 12.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So will they be at the Rum Congress for tastings in February?
It'll be under the table.
Let's come up with a secret. Let's come up with a secret password.
FRS exclusive.
Yes,
that's fine. I like that.
That will definitely be under the table. Right now, I'm hoping to see what we'll have for the Miami Rum Congress, just because we're having shipping issues getting new rums here. We will definitely have. I hope we'll have the Jamaica here by February. We'll definitely have the port cask. We will hopefully still have some Fiji. The Fiji blend we will definitely have, which was the John Gullah rum cast exclusive. Don't forget, this is being recorded. I'm not saying anything that is a secret. Peter. So did anybody else?
If you watch this whole thing, if you get to the hour and
Yes,
a half
if
mark,
you sit through an hour and a half.
you deserve the secret password. I'm just saying.
Exactly. So you guys got the sneak peek on the 10K. That's
anything that piqued your interest. You don't have to give us specifics, but were there, like when we talked about Liverpool, you were playing around down there in the depths, maybe even something that you might not pick up because it was just unobtainable for whatever reason. Anything of interest you can share?
Yeah, I mean, there was that huge sherry cask full of old Port Moran, which looked neat. They had some really, really old Enmore rums from 1990, 91, 92, which would have been over $400 a bottle here. They're really, the barrels themselves were over 30 grand a barrel, 40 grand a barrel. And one of them was not even rum because it had been aging so long, it had gone down to 37% ABV in the cask.
Oh, man.
So
what are they gonna do with that?
They better send it right to you, Jay.
You can sell it in Cuba.
Yeah, you can sell it in Cuba. You can sell it in Belize.
Hey, we like scraps.
So those were really interesting, more for historical, taste rather than actual drinking enjoyment. It was so woody. I mean, incredible, 30 years. And then when I went up to the offices, they brought out a Navy flagon, because they had one open that they give to their guests. I
I
think
probably drank from the same flagon. Probably the same.
we
one
must
drank.
have. It was the same flagon. And they're like, this is our special. I took one sip. I'm like, how long has this been open? And they're like, a little bit. I'm like, I know you have a hydrometer here. Go grab it. No way. Not only is this not Navy strength, this is not even 80 proof. And they're like, oh, maybe it's gone down a little. And, they're very proper and, Liverpudlian British. They come with the hydrometer and sure enough, 25% ABV. the Navy strength flagon. It had been open and completely, completely oxidized down to pretty much non-drinkable. You could still get a hint of what you could get a sense of the Port Moran and the Worthy and some of the components in there, but
yeah, I mean, what I had was pretty good. I don't know if it was Navy strength, but it was pretty good and reminiscent of what I had at Blacktop. So
they have the VIP flagon, and then
yeah, I guess I didn't buy enough to get the good flagon. The one I got the 25% ABV.
Do you think maybe it's like a test? It's like in the old folk tales, there was always like a test that the hero had to do when he showed up at the villains, and
there you go, to see if
they
you
were surprised
if Eric's worthy.
And I was even off by 10. I guess 35%, and it was 25. It was weak Navy rum.
It's part of their Festivus celebration.
But I mean, yeah, the warehouses in Liverpool are incredible. If you've ever seen the show Peaky Blinders, some of that was filmed in the main rum warehouses. And there's a scene from Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. There's like a fight.
Not a pattern. They tell everybody the same thing.
Yeah, they do. Like, this is where we're famous. But there's just room after room of just barrels and barrels stretching off into the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a few photos on my website. I found a website with a lot more, and I maybe use them in a future project. So.
So yeah, if you ever, any of you find yourselves in Liverpool, it's really incredible historical record of rums. Matt's article, it's actually a really good description of what it's like to visit.
It's like Victorian era rum warehouse, but it's funny. It was actually a bonded tea warehouse.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So is Maura. I'm sure Matt was happy to answer as well.
Well, I get called to pull in groceries, so yes.
Yes. But thank you guys for bearing with us for an hour and a half. Like I said,
I found it incredibly educational.
Very.
I thought it was fantastic, and I like the quiz bowl style. Bill, you're going to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, I was agreeing with you. It was very educational and, I appreciate the rums. Thank you.
Thank you. Like the only thing I like, more than talking about rum is drinking it. So it's like my two favorite activities together.
Well, with that, thank you, Eric, Maura, special guest Matt for joining us as well. Congrats to our winners, Joe, Team Joe and Missy, and Matt, and then Mike. I'll let him know after this that hopefully when he lands, he'll get the note that he is a runner-up, and we'll get Eric all the information. But thank you.
What about the photo contest?
Nobody answered. Nobody submitted.
There were no submissions to the photo contest.
I was going
We'll
to.
We'll try it again next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People were too busy with their families to take a break for rum.
Fair enough. We did spring it on everybody a little late.
But no, I appreciate. I'm thrilled that that we were able to have this partnership with Holmes Cay. We've done 2 barrels. Maybe like who knows when the next one will be, but I think that there'll be a lot of interest, and we can't wait to see the next things that come out. And as a shout out to the Travelers 1981, we're getting that next week possibly.
Yes, that's
which isn't a Holmes Cay label, but you imported it for Travelers, correct?
Correct. So this was their 40th anniversary of Belize's independence. They wanted to come out with something special, and they saw how well ours was doing. So they took the remaining stocks of the 2005 and they put it into 2 Oloroso sherry casks for about 7 or 8 months and put it out at 64%. They got 1,300 bottles out of the 2 casks, of which 1,000 of them are in Belize, and we got 300 of them up to the US. And those sold out in 3 days from me at least. They haven't sold out of the stores that bought them yet. I know there's 3 places in Florida that will be getting them.
What are we know Brock and the FRS shop are getting some, but who else?
I believe 5 Star is getting them, ordered some, and I believe Boat Drinks has some.
All right, perfect. So people know where to go.
Yes, those are 3 places in Florida that definitely have it.
And I saw Matt had a bottle in the lower right-hand corner of of the shelf there.
He got one of the Belize bottles. He did not get one of the American bottles.
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
I got the American one.
Yeah. I think yours does not say imported on the back, does it, Matt?
I don't know. I would have to look, but
lower right.
They sent it to me because I hosted the event for them. So
yeah, I remember they sent theirs up via the mail.
Remember Eric was like, "You have this before me," and I'm like,
yeah, he did. You did.
I wanted to comment on this, Eric. When you were talking about Travelers releasing this, it struck me that it's interesting because I don't really want to overstate it, but maybe this isn't an overstatement. You brought Travelers to the US really and kind of put them on the map here with your bottlings, and then they turned around and decided to bring their own rum to the country. And what I said before that, rum is a people business above all. Like I think it says a lot about you that not only like that you supported that and worked with them on that, like it was just a collaboration, and I think that's enormous.
We were really grateful and thankful, honored that they would, allow us to import it because, they brought in their own rums for years in a few states. I think it's available in Florida, in Arizona, California. They're 1-barrel rums. Again, very different clientele than this release. It's mostly Belizeans that are homesick Belizeans that buy the 1-barrel, or people that vacation in Belize and want to bring it back. But this is the first product they made that was really geared towards the rum geeks and the real aficionados. And we were just honored to be able to bring it in. I think it's awesome. Yeah, it blows my mind that 2.5 years ago we were like literally nobody. We hadn't put out anything. And to be entrusted with that is, it's pretty awe-inspiring.
Eric, what was the webcast? We were on one. You were on it with them, and we were talking. It wasn't in Florida Rum Society. Was it?
That was a Zavvi.
Zavvi?
Yeah, it was a Zavvi talk.
If any of you all can go back and watch that, if you're a member or join the deal, you ought to take a look at that. That's a really good. They do right up on their heart. They just lay it right out there. So they're nice people. You can really tell that they've got their heart and soul in it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Eric. Maura, thank you so much for this entire month for joining us this evening. We obviously love chatting rum and love all the knowledge that you bring to this group and the fantastic rum. So those that have the pleasure of sipping them, enjoy for the rest of the night, and we'll be looking for the next ones very soon. So appreciate it.
Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, cheers.
Tremendous rum. Good night, everybody.
Cheers,
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Eric.
Cheers.